All right, good morning, everyone that is joining us this morning. I'm Ricardo Wilkins, your host for these weekly 30-minute sessions here on Teams, office hours for Teams. So I thought we'd go ahead and get started. And while I'm kind of starting us off here, while you're waiting, feel free to notice the Q&A chat panel on the side of your screen uh, at any time during the session. Please put some Q&A questions in there, anything you want answered. I have a little bit I want to talk about today, but I also want to just be able to answer questions. Just ask me anything kind of approach. So feel free to start throwing questions in there. To help me with those questions, I've actually got someone from the customer success team here with me, Mr. Ken D'Amato, and he's going to help out as well. So you may hear his voice chime in from time to time, and you'll probably see him help answer questions as I am talking. We're going to get started here, and again, glad you could join us. What I want to do, I know some of you are probably, maybe you are attending every week as I'm doing these sessions weekly, but for some of you, this may be the first time, and you may be new to Teams. So today I did want to talk about a specific topic. I want to try to find a particular topic every week to spend a little time on. And I was going to talk about the channel meeting today, but I think I'm also going to start every meeting as well with just maybe a 60-second overview. Again, if you're first time, joining this weekly session, just to give you a little bit of background about, what Teams is, or at least the tour of it. So, but we will talk about channel meetings, and again, we're here to answer any questions you may have as well. So let me just come in here. This is my demo environment for Teams, and I just want to do a quick tour of some of the things here for those that may be first timers. So here I am using Teams, and I have if I click here on this Teams button on the left rail, I see all the teams that I have, and you can see I have some teams here shown, but I'm also a member of other teams that are in this hidden area, which is a great way of handling the volume. This user's in a lot of teams, but they can hide those so that the ones that are maybe most active are the ones that they get to see. So hiding and showing teams is a great way to manage volume. You also see in each team there are channels. Channels are like different, kind of pockets of areas where we can talk about particular subject matters and have a place for files for that particular subject. So here I am, I'm on the road safety team, and on that team we talk about audit planning in this channel. So we've got conversations about it here, but we've also got files specific to audit planning here, as well as tabs that we can add that really help us pin key assets like maybe office documents or maybe even key websites. So that's what the channels are about, and we can hide and show those as well. You can see in this team I'm hiding one, so that really helps for someone like me who happens to be in a team with 99 channels and I only care about one of them. So I will hide 98 and I would show the one, and if I really want to make sure I don't miss anything, I will follow that channel to make sure I get the notifications. So that's teams and channels. Those notifications show up in our activity feed here from newest to oldest. So this is kind of like your new Teams inbox to some extent. And then when I'm chatting, I can certainly chat in the team, but I can also chat in one-to-one chat by hitting that left rail button as well. This is the thing that's most close to if you're a Skype for Business or maybe former Skype for Business user. This is where you can chat with anyone in the org, just by firing up a chat. And of course, the nice thing is it's not just black and white text, right? We can have some pretty, richly formatted messages here, even including things like Giphies and stickers and whatnot as we have these chats with each other, whether it be a single person or even a group. Got my calendar here to show my meetings and quick buttons for starting up or scheduling meetings. And that's one of the things we'll talk about today. Place for calls, assuming this is enabled in your environment, it may not be. The phone integration, and then a overall files button for all my files across all my teams, and even quick access to my OneDrive. So Teams really helps me to stay all in one place there. Some of you might even have some third-party apps or other apps pinned, based on what your IT group is enabled. So those things are there as well. And then of course, I don't want to forget my search button that lets me search across all those teams, whether I want to find messages about in this case roads, or whether I want to find files, even with the word roads embedded somewhere deep in this PDF document, right? And we can find all those things. And as you can see, we can open documents right in Teams without having to leave, and not just open them to view them, but also open them to edit them with our team members in what we would call real-time co-authoring, meaning we're both in the document at the same time. We're watching each other's cursors move around, and we're even having a chat conversation about it over on the side. So that's kind of the 90-second tour of Teams. What I wanted to talk about, though, is channel messages. Before I do that, though, I'm just seeing a couple of questions on the side. So, are we supposed to be using this instead of Outlook for email? I would say no. This doesn't replace Outlook, at least today, right? Your Outlook and your email still has a place, especially if you're talking and collaborating with people outside of your teams, right? You still need that. And in fact, Outlook is still the kind of the premium spot for even managing your calendar. I mean, I know you see this calendar here. It shows my week, but there's a ton of more calendar management features that Outlook is providing that is not that Teams is not trying to do. Yeah, if you are new to Teams and you've been invited to a team, but you do need to either be invited to a team or create a team in order to kind of see teams shown on the side. Here's another question I saw come in. So if there's none listed, you could either create one with the create button if you have that ability, or be invited to one. And to get enrolled in Teams is probably an IT request of to have your IT org enable you for Teams as part of your Office 365 subscription. So that was a few questions.
Hey, Ricardo.
Yes.
We had a question earlier about how to turn on the video conferencing. Can you show that button?
Yeah, so you want to, video within a Teams meeting?
Video, or even maybe how to escalate from a chat. Maybe that would also be a useful, probably
okay,
both
yeah.
are relevant.
Yeah, so yeah, if I am in a chat, let's say with Nestor here, and in this case, the environment that I'm in, this remote environment doesn't have a webcam. So you'll see this is the button for video chatting. It just tells me it doesn't see a camera. But whether it's a video chat or an audio chat, I'm one click away from turning this into, a meeting with Nestor, right? And Nestor's a fictional person here, so that's why it's kind of going away. But they have one button click away from doing that. As well, I could start up a meeting with this nice Meet Now button, and just jump in, and again, that toggle there would be my video chat button, as well as here. So again, in this environment, I don't have webcams and camera and microphones, but that's the button I'd use to show my video. Okay. So, and that's a great segue. I mean, we want to talk about meetings today. Actually, yeah, channel meetings. The reason I'm calling out channel meetings, what we're seeing here, if I hit calendar, is I can do a Meet Now. It's just a general Teams meeting that I can then start to add attendees in. That's a great way to I don't want to schedule it. I'm just ready to meet right now. So I'll fire that up and start adding people in real time. I can also hit New Meeting, and I can schedule it just like I would in Outlook. This should look very much like Outlook. We also have the new Teams meeting, the Teams meeting button in Outlook, just like you have had a Skype meeting button in Outlook. You click it once and puts the details of the meeting right into that meeting invite. So all of those things are the same, but what is the channel meeting? The channel meeting is really one that is specific to a particular channel, as the name implies. You might notice that when I was going here to create a new meeting, got typical things like the title and the date and time, and even inviting people to this meeting. But you can see here, select a channel to meet in. So this knows all about my teams and all the channels that are in them. And so I could actually decide which channel I want this meeting to be in. And so we can see it there, but I'd like to show it actually in the channel. So that's one way to do it. Let's go to the team. And let's say that, where's one of my teams that I wanted here? Let's go here. This is, you know, some bonds management audit team. I want to fire up a meeting in here for this channel. I've got my Meet Now button there, and it's about to really start up a meeting, as you know, right at this moment, but really I want to go down and hit the schedule a meeting button. Same concept as what we just saw before, except that now the channel is filled in for me because I was sitting in that channel. So and doesn't even give me a drop down. So that's the one difference. I can go to it through the calendar area, and I got my whole list of teams to choose from. Since I created this one in the channel, I am able to, or it's already pre-filled for me. And just like any meeting, you know, I could put my title, the time of the meeting that I want, and any details, even inviting someone. But in this case, one of the advantages of the channel meeting is it's kind of gonna, it's kind of inviting everyone in that team or channel, you know, for me. So if that's my goal, is I wanted this meeting to be available to anyone that's coming to this channel, then I don't necessarily need to invite anyone specifically. So let's see what this looks like. I'll go ahead and hit schedule. And you'll see in a sec, as it generates this, that meeting will be embedded right within the chat area. So you see I got this nice little blue banner, little calendar icon, the name of the meeting, and you know, I am the mod administrator here, has scheduled a meeting. So if I'm just another team member, you know, clicking around this team and in this channel, I'm seeing that someone scheduled a meeting. Again, I wasn't, let's say I am Joanna here, I wasn't specifically invited, but this meeting is just generally for anyone in the team. So I do have some other, you know, demo users here. I have, in this case, Deborah B, as well as my Ricardo Gov user. So if I go, let's say in the Deborah's Teams area, I'm here on the Office 365 like main menu area. Going to see what this looks like for Deborah. So Deborah is, and I hope I chose the right, I may not have chose the right meeting for her. Let's go over to Ricardo, see what his looks like. Go to the Teams area. Ricardo happens to be using the dark mode here. And I believe that was the C dot. Let's use my filter button here. Okay, I chose the wrong team to try that in. Let me do this one more time here and make sure I choose one that, that for instance, Deborah's in, Contoso Auditor Annual. Okay, Contoso Auditor Annual. Let's go ahead and fire up a meeting here. Again, we're not going to meet now. We're going to schedule it. Manual, yeah, I don't know. Put something there. I don't have to check the channel. I'm going to schedule it. And now if I go over to Deborah's, you'll see that there is the event that the administrator has scheduled. Okay, so it's there, and if she clicks on it, she will see the details, right, as well as the join button. Okay, and there's the click events, you know, or you know, this would be what would show up in the email, the, you know, click here to join the meeting, as well as the call-in number. Given that she's in Teams right now, that's really not necessary. She's got this nice join button to actually come into the meeting. You can see, even though the meeting isn't really started yet, she's able to join, you know, whenever she needs to. The chat button here is a way to jump in and not necessarily get in the meeting, but you can see the chat conversation that's occurring. So let's go ahead and have her join in here. She's the only one there. And so maybe she'll say, oops, something like, good grief. Where is everyone? All right, so that's the chat within the meeting. What's nice about this, though, is if I go back out to Teams, to the Teams area, you'll see her chat is shown there. And what I really like about the channel meeting is that when this meeting is going on, Anyone who, again, is browsing through the team, they're seeing this meeting in progress. They're seeing Deborah's bubblehead. If there were other people, they'd see multiple bubbleheads. They can see how long this meeting has been happening, and you can see they can join in. As people are chatting, not necessarily the audio and video, but as people are using the chat area in that team, they're seeing all that happen. So I may not be in the meeting, but I can see to some extent what's going on, and I can certainly see that the meeting is in progress. To me, this is equivalent to when if we were in the office, the meeting's happening in a conference room with the door open, right? And I'm walking down the halls and I can peek in, or I hear you talking. I could even come in, if I wanted to, and sit down and join you. To me, that's what this kind of feels like. It's the meeting going on in a conference room that everybody knows about and can walk into with, in this case, a click of a button if they wanted to. The other thing that's nice about this is, and I'll go ahead, you can see, I should point out, Deborah is navigating through Teams, but her team meeting in progress is staying up here in the upper corner. But I can go back to the meeting, and in this case, Deborah wants to go ahead and start recording it. So we're going to have this meeting recording in progress. You are recording. Let everyone know they're being recorded. That's good. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording just to show what I want to show here. So I'll stop recording. Okay, and dismiss that. So she recorded a little bit. Let's go back out to the team area and take a look. So what we saw here was, again, the meeting in progress, actually still in progress because she's still sitting in there. Chats that were occurring. She also recorded. And so what's happening here is the recording, we're going to probably see it in a few seconds here. It's being rendered behind the scenes. And when it gets rendered, we're going to get a nice thumbnail of that meeting recording sitting right here in the thread in the channel. So again, that's a nice one because tomorrow when someone comes to this area and realizes, oh, a meeting happened, maybe I missed it, right within the thread there, they will be able to open that up and be able to view the recording of the meeting right within the context of that thread or that conversation. And again, without even having to leave Teams, these recordings are stored in Stream, but in this case, we can pop it open, and again, as soon as it stops rendering, we should see that thumbnail. We'll be able to view it right there without leaving Teams. So that's another, I think, nice advantage of this channel meeting. And there we go. We saw it finally rendered. It was only 11 seconds. And now if I wanted to watch that, here we get a nice pop-up. Again, I've not left Teams. In fact, I'm still in the browser here in this example, but I'm able to view that entire meeting right here in the context of my Teams chat area. So that is a nice, and let me get her out of this meeting just so we can see what it looks like after the fact, right? So now no one's in the meeting, but you still have the chat that's still there. You still have the meeting that's still there. So those are to me, those are some nice nuances to the channel meeting. The one recommendation I guess I'd make there is, this works great if you do just simply want to blast it out to everyone in the team. If you are really trying to just have a meeting with just a couple people, you could certainly do this, but know that it may look to the rest of the team like you are putting out an open invitation to a meeting versus just meeting with a couple of people. And the way I've gotten around that is sometimes I will put in the title of my meeting, or at least a description, something to the effect of this meeting is meant for, Nestor and Joanna, but anyone else is available if interested. So that's just something to keep in mind, because some people who are really trying to, help be collaborative might think, you really want them in this meeting, and if you may need to let them know it's an optional meeting or something like that. But it works really great if it is an open meeting where you want the whole team in. So small teams where, yes, this meeting probably does need everyone in attendance are great. I'm in meetings that, may have 500 people in them. And so unless it really is a full-blown meeting, you have to be think a little bit about whether you want a channel meeting in there or not. All that being said, the last little point I want to make about this is it is also a great way to have collaboration that sometimes is otherwise hard to achieve. And this is my own personal story. Before I was really familiar with the channel meeting concept, I did make a channel meeting that I only wanted 2 people to be in. I was kind of unaware that it was really kind of blasting out to the rest of the team. This team happened to have directors in it and, you know, people well above my pay grade, and I was trying to have just a small meeting with a couple of folks, right? Well, it turns out that at least based on the title of my meeting or the description, it was of interest to some of these other folks, and my 2-person meeting turned into maybe an 8 or 10-person meeting with folks that I would have not even, you know, known to even invite or known that were interested. So I got great insights and great collaboration out of that. That, you know, just because my meeting was so visible and public or transparent to the team. So that was a, you know, an awkward situation that that turned out okay for me. But that's just something to keep in mind. Again, that could happen if you have a really large team where there's a lot of people in the team. Just keep that in mind. So it could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. So I just thought I'd point that piece out. So that's the channel meeting in general. And hopefully that helps a little bit. We'll go to the Q&A and see what we're missing here. Any, Ken, anything?
Yeah, we got a few here.
Okay.
So somebody posted the statement, so channel equals team. So maybe you can just take a second and delineate the difference between a channel and a team. Obviously,
yeah,
channels are a part of teams, but maybe just
right.
hit that up.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have teams that you're in, a collection of people, and a collection of channels, right? So the finance team is here, and it has, in this case, 4 channels in it. And so that's really, the finance team talks, in my words, kind of talks about these 3 or 4 kinds of things. The finance team does things related to business taxes and licenses. So here's that area for them to talk about that. Here's their area for them to have files related to that. And you can have, you know, as many channels as you need in that particular team. You can't have a channel outside of a team, so it's a subset of the team. I you know, depending on who you ask, some people kind of say try to keep your number of teams small. I'm one of those that says make as many teams or channels as you need. I like to say when you do that, you give your users, your team members, more opportunities to ignore things, and by that I mean, today in your email inbox, I get everything from the team. Even though I'm not even on the residential taxes part of the team, I'm still going to get residential taxes emails, and I've got to process that and delete it and move it to the, you know, read later folder. With this, residential taxes folks can talk about residential taxes all day, and if I'm not a part of that particular part of the business, I can hide it or not follow it, and so that's fewer emails, fewer notifications that I have to deal with. It's readily available if I need to go, you know, jump in, or somebody wants to mention me or call me into it. But other than that, I'm getting all these opportunities to kind of push those things kind of off to the side and focus on the channels or topics that are most relevant, you know, to my day. So that's the channel concept.
Great. So next question, Ricardo, is how do you find and unhide chats that have been hidden?
Okay, so that the question may be related to, well, let's start here. I mean, if I have a hidden channel, you can see here, I find it and I hit show. If there's a chat hidden, you can't like hide chats here. I could delete my own, but I can't hide them here. But I think what you may be referring to is here in the one-to-one chat, you know, chats here are shown as recent and eventually kind of fall off and seem like they're gone. So how would you find them? Typically, it would be searching for them. You know, if they had a name or if they had people that were in them, like my buddy Nestor. If I was to search here, I'm gonna find, actually not search, but filter here. It's gonna help me see all the chats that that Nestor was a part of. But it's a lot easier if that chat had a name, like you know, meeting or something with the administrator, or in this case, I called it customer something. I don't know why I called it that. But to me, that's the way, is to use the filter or search to find it. But if you really wanted to make sure you didn't ever lose it, that's when you should pin it so that it stays up here and you know, over time.
And just to also be clear, you can also hide a team, and there is a way to surface those if you should do that as well.
Right, hide and show a team, and they all kind of collapse down here into this hidden teams area, which can then be shown.
Great. Next question is, I receive @mention messages in my Outlook because I have notifications turned on, but when I go to the Teams, it's just general postings, no @mentions for me.
Okay.
Should I only get app mentions if I am mentioned specifically?
Yeah, good question. So here, when we kind of click our face or our logo up here at the top, we go to settings. We'll see that in our notifications, we do have a place to say, yes, send me emails about mentions, but there are different kind of mentions. And I would agree the email typically comes across and says something to the effect, you have been mentioned in Teams. Personal mentions are ones where someone actually said at Ricardo. And so I would click it and it would probably take me to a post where my name is mentioned. But you could also get emails about being mentioned as a channel or as a team. So if someone mentions the residential taxes channel, if you have this set to email, you'll get an email about it as well. And I think it does, the wording does kind of suggest, it looks like it called you out specifically, but they really called you out because they called out the channel and because you have email set for that channel. So I'm thinking that might be what you're experiencing. So when you do go to it, kind of looks general, but hopefully you're seeing at least like this guy here, this business taxes, that's somebody mentioned the channel, and we in this channel would all get that notification there. And when you come to activity, hopefully it looks it will at least say here mentioned you or mentioned, in this case, like mentioned CDOT. The feed, it makes it a little more clear, but I agree that the email could make it seem like someone's looking for you specifically, but sometimes they are mentioned in the channel.
Great. We have a question. Ricardo, you might want to mention their ID must be enabled for stream to have it automatically post to stream. I believe that's for recordings.
Yep. So yeah, your IT folks for recordings do need to do a couple of things really. I mean, enable you for stream, and there's also a button in the Teams admin center related to allow recording. So yes, if you want to record as you just saw me do, make sure you're properly set up by your IT folks in the administration area.
Yep. Next question, can you make a private meeting or are all meetings available for anyone with Teams to see?
So the typical philosophy of the team is you're in the team, you get to see everything that's going on in the team. What is coming to Government Cloud and is new to the Commercial Cloud is this concept of private channels. So 10 people may be in the finance team, but I'll make a private channel that only 2 people can see, and the other 8 don't even know that it even exists, right? And so that is coming, and there's guidance about using that. Some people want to jump to using that to kind of make one team and have a private channel for every department, and I would kind of, as a best practice, advise against that per se. But it would address your question there about is there ability to hide anything? So the private channel will be the closest thing to your ability to hide things. I will say the other flip side is from a document perspective. These documents are stored in SharePoint, and you still have all the SharePoint capabilities that you are used to, including going to any given file and changing permissions on it. So while this document might be is visible to the whole team, I could go in and say only myself and Nestor can see it. So you still have that ability. Again, as a best practice, do that sparingly as well, because otherwise you'll turn around a month later and realize you got all of these unique permissions on these files and not really sure who can see what. So, but that is the other ability to kind of have a private aspect to some of your collaboration.
And one other question, assuming we are recording this and we'll post this somewhere, will an email go out with the link to where this is located, Ricardo?
Yes. So in fact, the very same link you used to get here, once we're done here in the next couple minutes, will become the link for the recording on demand. In fact, the way I'm doing these, I'm actually taking these recordings and putting them in an area so you can see all the previous weeks as well. But in general, for live events like this, that's how that works, is the recording becomes immediately available to you with that same link after the event is done. So the short answer is yes, this is getting recorded. You'll have a ability to get at it with this same link that you used this morning. While we got these last couple minutes, I did want to call out a couple things. you all are probably here just because of the just seeing more things about Teams going on these days. And one of the things that people are trying to help with is our LinkedIn Learning folks are making certain classes available to help with this remote work culture going on. And one of them is called Microsoft Teams Tips and Tricks. It's an hour-long course. If you've never tried LinkedIn Learning, I mean, I know I've used it a lot to learn about different things. And so to me, this is a big deal. I mean, it's not just a couple of few minutes of classes. It's a full course of, as you can see, several classes totaling an hour and 2 minutes. So hopefully you get that link there, and you should be able to hit that up. I haven't gone through this particular course myself, but just from looking at the contents, and it looks pretty good. So that may be something to keep in mind. And then, as always, I've got links here. You may want to screenshot or something to landing page for help, and some other things here that might be useful.
Ricardo, one other thing, somebody has asked about video conferencing with people outside of their organization. Maybe just talk a little bit about guest access.
Yeah, so collaborating externally comes in two flavors. In the meeting, it's pretty easy. If I fire up a meeting, the link or the info for that meeting, I can share out with folks and they can jump into that meeting pretty easily. There's not a lot of overhead required to inviting someone in a meeting. You can see here, if I go to the meeting, oops, where is it here? This little copy join info, that's got the link to this meeting and even the phone number if it has one, and I can give that out to someone and they can just jump in this meeting. The second level, though, of external collaboration is actually inviting someone into my team as a guest, which means they're actually fully in my team, able to chat with my team, able to collaborate on files with my team. So that's a little more intimate invitation, right? I'm actually kind of bringing them into my environment. But from a meeting perspective, anyone, even someone not enabled for Teams, could join a particular meeting, and they would get the full audio and video capabilities to share their video, even share their screen in that meeting. You haven't invited them into your team and files and everything. You're just inviting them into this single meeting. So that's a nice benefit. It makes external collaboration pretty easy and flexible. It's just sharing the meeting info of that meeting, and they can jump right in. If they got internet in the browser, that's all they need. They get a better experience if they go download the free Teams app. But meeting and internet in a modern browser is pretty much all they need to get going. So we're going to stick around in the Q&A and try to answer any other questions we're seeing here, but we're kind of at time. I know we all got places to be. Again, I'm glad you could join us. I plan to have these every Friday, 10 a.m. Same link that you're using, that you used today, the aka.ms/office hours 0365. So hope to see you next week. Again, continue to use the Q&A and we'll try to hit some more questions for a few more minutes. Thanks.
Hey, Ricardo. Yeah, there's another one here. If you sync your SharePoint files to your hard drive, then add folders, then how do you get your channel files synced with your SharePoint files?
Okay, so we'll stay live for a second here. So can you just repeat that one more time?
If you sync your SharePoint files to your hard drive, then add folders, then how do you get your channel files synced with your SharePoint files?
Okay, so yes, so that person definitely knows about this concept that I can show here of syncing, SharePoint files. That's not always, well known, but if you can kind of see here, I know that the text is a little small, but you can see Contoso is my organization, and these are files from the teams that I have, synced. I'm getting all the folders that I would have seen in the team. I'm seeing them in Windows Explorer. I'm getting the sync buttons to kind of show that they're in the cloud. I can make folders in here, and those will translate over, into the team. Let's see, this is safety audit. I think safety audit general, and I go to files, and there's my new folder that I just created, right? So that sync happens. I think where you're going with this question though is you do want to, if you want a worry-free life, you want to make sure you stick with Teams folder structure. It's making a folder for every channel that's there, and you can certainly within that folder do whatever you need to. If you start making folders outside of the channels, that's totally fine too, and you'll see them in SharePoint, except you won't see them in Teams. So your Teams only really can see, at least from a team perspective, the folders in the channels, right? So if you keep those kind of rules of thumb in mind, you'll be fine. You can within the folder do whatever you want. Teams will see it fine. If you go outside of the folder structure, you may wonder why you don't see it in Teams. But other than that, the sync concept works just fine. I think as you just saw here, where I did it on Windows Explorer, it showed up pretty quickly in the Teams area.
Hey, Ricardo, do you happen to know the maximum length of a recording? I've never heard of one, but.
Well, I know for these live events, it's a 4-hour max, and so I would assume it could record the 4 hours. But yeah, outside of a live event, I'm not aware of a limit. I'm sure there probably is one, but I've certainly seen people's 2-hour meetings get recorded just fine. So I don't know. That's something we could look into, maybe follow up with. But at least a live event I know can do 4 hours, and I know I've seen in real life a 2-hour meeting recorded just fine. All right. So I'll end this the video or the live sharing here, and we'll stay in Q&A and chat from there. Thanks again, everyone.